Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Chatter Squadron, your weekly dose of Star Wars fun and positivity. My name is Tyler Bucks.
And my name is Logan Honsaker.
We're just energized today. We're ready to go because the latest episode of The Mandalorian was so cool, and we're going to talk about one of my favorite things in Star Wars, which is lightsabers.
Lightsabers!
Yeah, robots in disguise.
They are. Well, that'd be crazy.
So yeah, what all are we covering?
We have lightsabers, we have Mando and Grogu. Oh my!
Oh no! Grogu?
Grogu? Who's Grogu?
I have no clue, Goo.
We're gonna find out who Grogu is. No, we're talking about The Mandalorian. Our thoughts about the episode. There's spoilers, per usual.
Spoilers, we're coming for you, spoilers.
We're always coming for those spoilers. We have lightsabers. What are they? How do you make them? Can you have one? No, you can't. But you can have this art back here.
What a segue!
Check it out. Hey, I'm on top of it today.
What's some info about this art?
This art is called Redemption by Christodoulou. And we're actually coming up on the end of the month. So get your last chance to share this video or share one of our previous episodes, and you can be entered to win the art.
You can win the art, and this is, like you said, your last chance to win the art. So share it with a friend. Tell them to share the video as well. Maybe you can get them some info on what lightsaber crystals are, all the stuff we're going to be talking about. It's actually really interesting how this episode panned out compared to our last episode. Yeah, when it comes to The Mandalorian, that we did talk about a lot of the things that came to be. But before we get into all that, you can become the tiny king / queen of the tiny chair of tiny victories. That is this little throne over here with somebody on it. But that has Jennifer Marukim on it, and she, as I get a phone call,
that's so important. You can dethrone her.
You can dethrone her, and the best way you can do that is becoming a patron at patreon.com/chatter Squadron. You could get your name on that throne, and also at a certain level, you get a shout out at the end of every episode of the show. So
every episode,
be sure to get yourself on the set, and also get yourself a piece of the set, being Redemption right there. But we're going to be talking about The Mandalorian first. That means spoilers. We are coming for you.
For you. We're coming right at you, spoilers.
So it is spoiler season right now, and let's just get into the episode because it was really, really, really good. I had a good time with this one.
Yeah, it was sweet. It was I feel like it was moving forward. It was what we wanted. It was at least what I wanted. They wasted no time getting into it. I mean, right off the rip within the first I was like counting it down when we were watching it together, like going through the play-by-play. I mean, within the first 20 seconds.
Yeah, already action, and we see Ahsoka using those white lightsabers. Which we're going to get into a little bit later about how people can get white lightsabers. So that's cool. But really awesome way they introduced her as a character. Like we said last week, this might be the first time people are seeing Ahsoka in general.
Yeah.
So now it's kind of this samurai, this like Ronin character going through the woods and attacking these bad guys. Really cool way to bring her into the show.
Yeah, it's like you said with the whole episode, it kind of felt samurai, like a samurai whole feel to it, which is super cool.
It's another samurai fan film by Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni for sure.
Right.
But right off the rip, we get to learn that there's something that Ahsoka wants to know from this. Not a marshal. She was something. She was the ruler of that town currently.
Well, she wasn't the secret president.
No, not the secret president we see a little bit later.
Undercover president.
But there's some type of thing that she needs to know, and we get to hear about that later on in the episode. And then we see Mando come in, fly over this very beautiful city that's ravaged by war and like guarded by weapon wielding people.
He flies over. You see him with like the gate.
Yeah, and he's like, this looks like a good town to land in and try and get some info in.
Right.
I feel like I would just rough it. I feel like I would just go and say, you know what, I'm not gonna walk into this town.
Yeah, I think when you're flying over and you just see like the whole town lined with armed guards. Yeah, probably just steer clear of that town. I would say. But no, as Mandalorian does, he decides to just waltz in.
Make
it his business.
we get to see, as Logan mentioned before, the secret president. We were making the joke that it's like undercover boss, but undercover president.
Right.
This week on Undercover President,
Right.
we send a militia into a town to take over.
And to see how they'll treat the president.
Right.
When they think he's just an average citizen.
Yeah. Well, I know how he treats other people. Don't talk to me.
Yeah, get out of here.
Get out of here. Don't talk to me.
Don't talk to the kids.
Don't talk to the kids.
To me.
Don't talk to me.
Just don't talk.
Just listen, dude. I know you think you're so cool. If the guards didn't step in, that's what he would have been doing. He would have just been roasting the Mandalorian. Like, listen, dude, I know you come in here all la-di-da with
armor.
your weird dog in a bag.
Yeah, what is that thing?
But yeah, so whoever this person is, the marshal, the deacon, the duke, basically tells him, hey, I got some Beskar for you, which apparently is like the biggest driving force in the Mandalorian's life is Beskar. I'll do
anything for Beskar.
I'll do anything for Beskar, but I won't do that. Which he never says because he does anything.
Yeah, he will. He will do anything for Beskar. But I think they're getting along to how how rare and how kind of, I don't want to say precious, but you know what I mean? Like how rare and how unique Beskar is, how valuable. There it is.
Just like you.
Oh,
hey, no problem.
Thanks.
Anyway, so I said no problem before you even said things. So he takes this job to go kill a Jedi, and we all know he's there to go find Ahsoka Tano. So he's like, yeah, I'll take this job.
Yeah, where is she?
Where is she?
Point me in the direction.
Point me in the right direction.
Like the Frogman, vague
pointing. If you ever see a Mandalorian and you need him to do something, just vaguely point in a direction.
He'll be like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
And you don't even have to say. It's information I know. You could just say, "Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Hey, maybe this is probably a guy that might kill you."
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Over there. Yeah, I'll get on a boat with him.
Yeah, sure.
And once again, takes Mando goes to a location with Ahsoka, who tries to kill him immediately.
I know.
Already.
I said that. I was like, it's lucky he has the Beskar, because by the time she would have even gotten to Grogu, which we now can no longer call him Baby Yoda.
Yeah, we cannot.
Never again.
That's Grogu, everybody.
Right. By the time he's like, "Oh, we need to talk," and she's like, "I hope it's about that guy." It's like, well, he would have been dead.
Yeah, if he wasn't able to block a lightsaber with his arms, Mando would have been dead. Wouldn't have been able to answer that.
Right.
But pretty quickly, like this episode moved along pretty fast from big point to big point.
Yeah.
And like that, we see that amazing shot of Ahsoka with Grogu under that tree with the moonlight behind,
like the silhouette.
And they're talking with their minds.
Right.
Grogu wants to be picked up. So cute.
With his arms, not with his mind.
Yeah.
We knew he wanted to be picked up.
Held, and like you said, that silhouette shot of them with the moon behind them, and you just got Ahsoka's Leku, I think they still be called that, and Grogu and his ears. It's like, Acme Archives Direct, I hope you guys make a painting of that.
Yeah, that would be sweet.
So we can put it here on the set and try and give it away to somebody. But so we got Grogu finally having a name, and it was also very cute. Every time someone said Grogu, he's like a dog or like a cat, like, what?
Yeah, perks up.
Right. Like Grogu.
Smiling. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that's cool too. How long do you think it's been since he's heard his name? That's kind of interesting. So I'm sure that's kind of weird too.
I know.
Like, Grogu?
I like how the mouth sound you gave.
Well, I can't coo like a baby.
Really? Even though you act like one.
It's true.
So
I'm just a big baby on the inside.
So I love Mando. He's so he's not the best when it comes to words too. Like when she says, "I can't train him," which does make sense. Saying like, "I can't train him. He's too attached to you." I've seen what attachment can do to a fully trained Jedi Knight, not a Jedi Master. Anakin.
Little dig.
Mando's like, "I was sent here to kill you."
Right.
Like, whoa.
Right. Yeah, that's
never mind. I'll train him now. Like that's how is that helpful?
Right.
I was sent here to kill you. Okay, perfect.
Well, I think that's proving how nice of a guy he is. Like, hey, I didn't even try.
Yeah.
Well,
he did shoot fire at her.
That's true. I know. Because in both, I always think that. It's like, what if she would have got burned? How would you have been like, hey, I'm sorry about setting you on fire. But
I know your name though, Ahsoka Tano, right?
Could you train this little dude?
So I enjoyed them working together in terms of, okay, we're going to they have this many guards, they have this many droids, they have this main guy who's ex-military, and then they formulate this little plan of how they're going to take this town.
Well, we've seen how tactical he can be,
mm-hmm.
and as a team we've seen how tactical he can be, so we know how his mind works, especially in combat. And when there's a whole team of Mandalorians,
mm-hmm.
it's epic.
I mean, a Jedi and a Mandalorian, they'll never see it coming.
Never.
No. Even though Ahsoka's going to run headfirst into them, never going to see it coming. So Ahsoka storms the castle.
Right.
Really cool little bit where she cuts through that guy and also the bell, and the bell rolls away.
Yeah, that was sweet.
Sorry, I have like a hair on my eyeball, but I think I got it.
The eyeball.
And then a great standoff between her and the baddies. She throws down the Mandalorian's shoulder guard or whatever, just saying like, yo, this guy didn't kill me, dog.
Like, better try harder next time.
Mm-hmm. And the whole bit in the town was really cool. Really cool. Her like hunting down the guards.
Yeah. It reminded me of the scene out of Batman Begins on like the shipping docks.
Yes.
Where
are you? You're here.
Yeah.
Yeah. She sort of did that with when she came up behind those two guards and turned her lightsabers on.
Right. No, we said we kind of missed it before, but we talked about it in person, you and I, how she was using her lightsabers to kind of light up where she was at out
mm-hmm.
in like that desolate field.
Right.
And then shuts him off, moves.
Yeah.
And then attacks, lights him. I was like, that is so cool.
And I'm so happy that people get to see white lightsabers for the first time in live action.
Super cool.
I mean, all lightsabers are kind of white because they have a white center, but all white lightsabers.
Yep.
But I thought the Mandalorian's part in this was also pretty cool. He frees the people. He gets help from the undercover president.
Right.
And
undercover president.
And they work together to, get the people out of those really messed up cages. Really scary, being just zapped and held there for who knows how long.
Is it bad that like I was looking at that and I was like, wow, those are really like the design of those are really cool, like really interesting. I thought, as a like for a design type of deal.
Yeah, sure. Just
they were very Star Wars.
Something to think of in the future.
We've never seen a Star Wars torture chamber before. Now we have.
Oh my gosh. It's an episode of firsts.
Yeah.
I was more excited about the white lightsabers, but
they're always exciting.
Firsts are always exciting, right, Ahsoka? So they have this battle. The marshal, the deacon, the whatever this person's name is.
Yeah.
If someone's in chat who remembers, please let me know. But
her title even.
But so, and her name's something else, Beth. I know that.
Yeah.
So they have that battle, and they do a little play on the standoff motif where the dude running the army at the place. We should have written some of this stuff down. But
we do have notes.
Yeah. So they, they're having this standoff, and you have Mando basically like has his hand on the gun the whole time.
Right.
But the type of composition of we're both waiting to see who's going to win.
Right. Whose fighter is going to win.
Yeah. I liked that.
Yeah. That was cool. It was like a standoff in a standoff.
Oh.
Standoffception.
Yeah.
You could say.
And then
what would have Mando done if she wouldn't have won?
Still killed him. I don't know, because obviously his person lost.
Right.
Elspeth lost, but he still tried to kill Mando. So, it was unnecessary. So, they do have a really kind of cool lightsaber versus Beskar spear fight. And then we get to learn who this master is. It's I wanted to say Tauren, which no one will know what that means.
Tauren,
but that's something we're working on.
But they will soon.
In the future.
Thrawn.
Thrawn.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, geez.
Torin and Prawn.
Yeah.
We do.
We have notes for the show. Thrawn. So when I was watching this, I was saying, like, who could this person's master be? And I ran through a bunch of people. Most of them were dead. And then it was like, maybe Thrawn. However, for people that know Thrawn and maybe read the books or saw him in Rebels or whatever, he's not really one for like cruelty. He's very calculated. He's very much like, I'm not going to waste any time doing X, Y, and Z. I'm here to do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And for him to kind of be backing somebody's like reign of terror, I don't really know if that is his MO. So I'm kind of interested in seeing if we do see Thrawn in this, but also if he's changed somehow. I'm not sure.
Or how much of it he's really... How much of this town's control and the torture he's really behind.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I'm not sure, but that's just something for people to maybe be aware of when it comes to Thrawn is, hey, he's not really he's not really like a cruel person. So who knows why he's backing this or being a part of this.
Right.
I'm going to hazard to guess that he's not really a part of this. In like you were saying, in the sense of like, he doesn't know that all this cruelty is going on. He has a bigger plan. She just happens to be an underling.
Yeah, you just send someone like, hey, go do this, take over this town, seize control. Whatever they choose to do on their own,
right,
could be out of his control.
I mean, he would have to be pretty specific to say, no, Elspeth, don't lock any people up in really cool looking cages and shock them for days. Like
eternally.
Maybe she's really good at finding those like little things that, you know, like, oh, he didn't say I couldn't do this.
He didn't say I couldn't shock people for days on end.
Couldn't say I couldn't dress up my droids to look really cool.
Everything just has, as long as she does it really cool.
Right. Yeah, the shocky things are really cool.
Well, the shocky things are cool. So
the evil guards, they have cool helmets at least, right?
Yeah.
I know they're killing innocent people, but
they look cool.
Yeah.
So she's allowed.
And then we get the secret president being the real president.
Right.
Finally, real president.
Real president reveal.
Secret is out. And so they have a great little party for him. And then we get like a sad moment where Mando has to say goodbye to Grogu, Baby Yoda. And I mean, that's all for naught because Ahsoka's still like, I'm not training him.
Right. Which I think we all had a feeling. I know I did. It was like, he's not going to say goodbye. That would be too easy and too quick. Too quick
at the end of the series as a whole. But
do I think they'll have him move on? Maybe, possibly, but that would have been way too quick.
Yeah. But Ahsoka tells Mando to take him, Grogu, to Tython. And Tython is a very important planet in the EU and in just Star Wars as a whole, because back in the day, Tython was like the first planet of the Jedi. And back then it was the Jedi, which is like JE''DAII. I couldn't remember what this Marshall or this woman, her title was, but I can remember how to spell Jedi
with hyphens and all.
Yeah, hyphens and all. So
I'm still laughing over
Prawn. Yeah. Hey, it's me, Prawn.
Like
Grand Admiral Prawn. He's just a big shrimp in like an Imperial officer's uniform.
Which like a prawn type of character might actually look cool in Star Wars.
Grand Admiral Prawn. Anyway, so but Tython is huge for that because that's where like the Jedi first congregated as a society to like work on doing the Force. So they're bringing it another thing from the EU into the Mandalorian, which is going to be cool. A lot of the stuff too we talked about last week came to fruition here, where we talked about Ahsoka, her white lightsabers, kind of just her mentality. Like she's not a Jedi. She said that much a couple times.
Yeah.
And I was hoping she would say that, like when the ruler tells her, like, listen, Jedi. I wish she said, I am no Jedi.
Right.
Or when, even that's the thing, like, even when Mando's like, but I was told to take Grogu to a Jedi. She could have been like, well, I'm not a Jedi.
Yeah. I'm not a Jedi. I'm not going to train.
I renounced that order back when that order still existed. Like she was not being a Jedi when being a Jedi was cool. Yeah. You know what I mean?
She was doing it before it was cool.
Right. So
she's a real hipster.
She is a pretty big hipster. Yeah. So I wish she sort of said something like that. However, her reasonings were good in like Grogu is too attached to you.
Well, and yeah, it makes sense. We don't know a lot about Grogu, this character at all. You know, we just learned his name. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a lot of responsibility to be like, hey, I don't know this person at all or this thing at all, but let's train him to have immense power. Right. You know, I get it.
What we did learn was really cool, that he was on Coruscant and he was being trained by many Jedi masters.
Ask the
question, should we train Grogu? And then someone somehow took him to safety. I want to know who this person was that took Grogu to safety and what that story is. I feel like that's going to be a comic series we'll get like in 3 years.
Yeah. And what we were saying too is Grogu was probably born around like 5 or so years before Anakin.
Yeah.
If we were guessing, the timeline's putting that there. So that's cool to think about. I don't know.
He's older than even Anakin.
Right.
So if that is the case, then as a little baby, even more than a baby he is now, he was being trained by like Mace Windu or even adult Yoda.
Right. Like these prominent masters.
And let's talk about Grogu's name for a second too.
Yeah.
So we talked about, like, I like Grogu as a name. I know you like Grogu as a name.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
The thing about it is, if people don't like his name being Grogu, can you come up with a better name for him? Like, I talked about this, I think, on the show a long time ago, like during season 1, of like, how do you make a name that is cute now, but can be taken seriously when he's an adult later? Right. That's kind of hard to do. Yeah. Like Yoda is a good name for like, oh, it's little Yoda, and then it's Grandmaster Yoda. Like that does kind of have a flow. So you can't just call him like, ooh, doop doop, you know, or stinky or itchy.
Yeah, itchy and grumpy or lumpy.
lumpy, itchy, and Mala. Sorry. Logan just watched the holiday special, so it's very fresh for him.
It is too fresh, you can say.
And I can say we're going to be talking about the holiday special in December. But when it comes to Grogu, that's the thing. It's like, what can you say in terms of his name other than just, it is a good name?
Yeah.
So he'll grow into it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't just, I don't know. Because I already feel people being like, oh, Grogu is not that good of a name. It's like, but what would you name him?
Right.
Okay, come up with a better name. That is a better name. Okay.
Baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda. Yeah.
What if that's what came back?
I was so hoping that like, I said that off mic with Ahsoka being like, I've only seen one of this kind in my lifetime. His name was Yoda. So this is like a baby Yoda. And just look at the camera.
So this is like a baby Yoda?
And then we're all like, yeah!
Go crazy.
Baby Yoda, it's canon.
I notoriously think names are very difficult. So...
Yeah, you've called me a Duke for years. I had to tell you, my name's Tyler. I don't know where you got Duke from.
I don't know.
But names are hard. You're correct. Like, coming up with a good name and settling on that is tough. Like, we were just talking about our Star Wars in-universe names, and I landed on one name, Taikata Dekai, and I just stuck with that. Like, that's rad. It's really like, it has a lot of good, you know, Taikata Dekai with the salsa, and put in the meatball.
That should be the chef.
Put in the meatball with the guacamole
and the salsa.
But yeah, so coming up with like a good name is hard, especially this character who's taken over the world. Like, you have to think when you're sitting there making these names for Grogu.
So all these expectations.
Yeah, because all of a sudden you're like, everybody talks about Baby Yoda. People want to watch The Mandalorian just to see Baby Yoda. Like, and now we're going to name him something. Like, I wonder how long they've known the name of Grogu.
Yeah. It's a lot of, ooh. I'd lose sleep.
I would too.
Like, what are we gonna name? What are we gonna name him?
I would just like keep having flashes to the board of names. Like,
I want to know what were other possibilities that never made the cut, because you know what I mean.
I hope that's in. I hope that's in the next gallery they do, like the behind the scenes series that they do. Like because they showed behind the scenes first concept art of Baby Yoda, which is terrifying and not good looking.
Really?
Yeah.
Menacing.
It was bad. So I hope we see some of those. And I will say I'm happy it does not have a Y in the name.
Yeah.
It's not Yoda. And like a lot of people will sometimes forget, even in the Phantom Menace, there's another Yoda species character named Yaddle, who's also on the Jedi Council. So it's
like too close.
Yaddle, Yoda. I'm happy it's not like Yogu or something. You know, like,
Yogu.
Right. Grogu is good. Or Grogu. I'm getting there.
I said prawn. So don't ask me for names.
Grand Admiral Prawn is just a shrimp in a wheelchair being pushed by somebody.
Every time I think of it, I'm gonna lose it.
But he's a military genius, so we have to bring him along.
They're just wheeling him around. He's like got to a little tank.
He talks into a box that translates it into basic.
Yeah.
Attack the enemy. Oh, why don't we think of that?
Yeah, why don't we think flank them?
Prawn strikes again.
Grand Admiral Prawn.
So that was the episode of The Mandalorian. Once again, I like the juice that they're giving us. A lot of juice in this episode, and I'm happy for juice. I like juice.
I like juice, and I like Grogu.
Yeah, I like Grogu too. Speaking of things that we like and juice being edible, in the post show today for our GetVokl chat and also our patrons at the captain and Commodore level, we got the post show where we're going to talk about our favorite Thanksgiving foods. I can talk a little bit about what I did for Thanksgiving. You slept. That's
just about the whole day.
That's a little teaser for it. But
good day.
We have a list of like 30 Thanksgiving foods we're going to rank and say which ones are the best. So that is the post show. I know that's so exciting for
post show Thanksgiving food ranked.
Yeah, but if you want to know what the best Thanksgiving food is, you have to become a patron or get in the GetVokl chat. But let's move on to the main topic of the show today, which is lightsabers.
Lightsabers.
Give us a little rundown on what lightsabers are.
Lightsaber. Yeah, we could just start vague. So lightsaber, the lightsaber, also referred to as a laser sword.
Hello, laser sword.
Who were unfamiliar with it, which we actually just saw this past episode of The Mandalorian. He referred to it as a laser sword.
Not even your laser swords can blah, blah, blah.
Right. I think that's just like one of those things that's like they just notoriously get it wrong. Like they know it's called a lightsaber, but they just want to say, not laser sword. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. No one knows it's a lightsaber.
Oh, nice glowy
Yeah, they just get it a little wrong. Like, that's not what it's called. So, referred to as a laser sword by those who are unfamiliar with it. It was a weapon usually used by the Jedi, the Sith, and other Force sensitives. Lightsabers consisted of a plasma blade powered by a Kyber crystal that was emitted from a usually metal hilt and could be shut off at will. It was a weapon that required skill and training and was greatly enhanced when used in conjunction with the Force.
The Force!
The Force! See? It's the Force here. Though also used by the Sith, the lightsaber was synonymous with the Jedi, with some in the galaxy believing only the Jedi could use lightsabers, which was like the quote I was talking about earlier with Anakin from The Phantom Menace when he asked Qui-Gon, are you a Jedi Knight?
Are you a Jedi?
Because I saw your lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
So he's already making that kind of connection. Like, if you have a lightsaber, you got to be a Jedi Knight.
And that's also when he's like, are you here to free us, the slaves? And he's like, no. Nope, not get that out of your brain.
Yeah, no.
Little Anakin.
Why would you even think that?
That is not happening. But it's something we wanted to gloss over because we're going to be going into how crystals work, which is the meat of this. There are Jedi fighting or lightsaber fighting styles. And, I have the notes up here, but Logan, I just pulled it down so I can't see. Logan, go through each one and I will tell you what it is because the lightsaber stuff is my favorite thing in Star Wars and I know far too much about it. So give me Form 1.
Well, we've had a lot of experience with lightsabers early on for many years.
Yes, so we'll get into that as well.
Yes, we will. All right, Form 1.
Is it Shicho?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Just to make sure. Form 2.
Makashi.
Nice.
That's the one I would want to do if I had lightsabers.
Lightsabers. Form 3.
Is Sarisu?
Yep.
Nice. That's Obi-Wan Kenobi's lightsaber style.
Form 4.
Ataru.
Nice.
That is Yoda and even Qui-Gon uses like a grounded Ataru. A lot of physical movement.
Mm-hmm.
Grogu will probably be an Ataru practitioner.
Oh, a little prediction. Mm-hmm. You heard it here first.
I don't see him doing the next one, which is Form 5. Jem So or Shi Yen.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
I have Shannon first.
Because that's Anakin's fighting style. So I don't really see Baby Yoda being able to do a lot of heavy downward strikes. And with Shicho,
right?
Shicho is Ahsoka used mostly because of the lightsaber, the blaster.
Deflecting and learning to hit it back at
yep, exactly.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think Grogu would have a very like slash grounded. He is a little small.
All
right, Form 6.
Form 6. Niman or Nyman or whatever it is.
Nice.
That's also an Ahsoka form because that's what a lot of people use for dual blades. Even with a double blade lightsaber, you need a little bit of Niman or Nyman in your fighting style.
Just a skosh.
Just a skosh. And then the final one, right?
Form 7.
So Form 7, there's Vapad, but I forgot it the other day, and I'm forgetting it again now of what, because
I'll will it to you.
This is the form that Sith use. So
my eyes.
Wait, you're still thinking of prawn.
How'd you know?
I can't remember it. I just don't like Sith. So Jeskai. No, that's Magic the Gathering. Juyo. Oh, that's great for the audio listeners.
Just
nice
like
smack right into their ear canal. Juyo, yes. And then when I said Vapad, that's what Mace Windu used, because instead of pulling from the power, like the rage from himself, he would pull it from the dark side practitioner, and thus learning and making Vapad. Anyway, so those are the Jedi forms.
And he was, if I remember this, I could be mistaken, but wasn't he one of the few Jedi who actually could use that style without going Sith?
Yes. Yeah, it was a very dangerous thing to do, and even Anakin wanted to learn it, and he was like, "No way,
yeah,
no way, dude,
no way."
So lightsabers, they took on more prominent role in the galactic affairs as the Clone Wars came to pass. Jedi, previously peacekeepers, became Jedi generals of the Grand Army of the Republic, and thus began using their lightsabers more often than they had in their role as peacekeepers. So that was the downfall of the Jedi, was turning into generals as opposed to just being peacekeepers.
Yeah, there's a lot of characters throughout the whole culmination of the Clone Wars that remind us, hey, you guys are supposed to be peacekeepers. That seem very unhappy that they're moving into that general position versus just staying as peacekeepers.
I know Qui-Gon would not be into that idea if he was alive. Yeah. Imagine Qui-Gon going along with that.
Right.
Heck no.
Doesn't seem like he's not a general type.
No, he is very much a counselor. He is very much a green lightsaber practitioner, very delegating, very much about trying to find the truth of the Force. He was a big person into the living Force, right. The idea that the Force is consistently making decisions for the galaxy as a whole.
Right.
That's why he always talks about just trust in the Force. As the Clone Wars ended and the Great Jedi Purge took place, lightsabers became a rarity in the galaxy, as the Jedi who once used them were greatly reduced in number and did not use their weapons as often for fear of drawing attention. Much like Jedi Fallen Order, which we talked about recently, like Cal. He did not use his lightsaber because once he did, Inquisitors knew exactly what was going on. And that kind of goes to like even deeper with Grogu not using his Force abilities to stay alive. For the majority of the reign of the Empire, the only lightsaber that was prominently used was that of Darth Vader, and in the waning years, that of the exiled Obi-Wan Kenobi and Luke Skywalker. And the Inquisitors, like we talked about, they also had lightsabers, which we're going to get to Inquisitors in a little bit. But Logan, how do lightsabers work?
How do they work? Magic!
Yeah,
Just
the end. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in. No, lightsabers. So they drew power from an appropriately sized power cell. Parts that would work to make a lightsaber include modulation circuits and an energy gate. Ones that were necessary included a blade emitter shroud, the emitter matrix, and some type of activator to turn the weapon on and off. Other parts that could be added include hand grip ridges and a blade length adjuster. Ooh, we might have seen that a little bit in Mandalorian, right?
Yeah, with Ahsoka and her Shoto, her small defensive lightsaber.
Mm-hmm. And some lightsabers also featured a non-lethal low power setting used for training.
Mm-hmm.
Single-bladed lightsabers usually had a belt ring so they could be hung from a belt hook or wheel-shaped attachment that slotted into a matching belt clip on the owner's belt when not in use. That's what you have. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you can, so quickly, just so people know, this is not Ultra Saber. Wow. This is a Saber forged lightsaber, and you can actually buy a belt clip for it.
That's
put on your belt, and it actually clips on. I kind of want to get one and wear it out in public.
Right. And I just had to add this while we're talking about clips and lightsabers. If we're talking about plastic lightsabers, the Qui-Gon Jinn style does have the worst clip.
But it has the best handle.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, so we're talking about like the little ones we had as kids that like would...
They fully go in, fully retractable into the handle.
That's called something. Telescoping. It's a fully telescoping in and out of the lightsaber handle. And so Qui-Gon's was the best because it was basically just straight down.
It was the best handle.
But I mean, because Anakin's was so rigid with those
clunky.
Hand grips.
Yeah, and there was that clunky, like square, the switch.
The big square switch. And then Obi-Wan's Phantom Menace's Obi-Wan's was pretty good too.
It was cool, but I think those little like the bottom part of it, those pokey, they kind of got you sometimes when it was on your hip.
But yeah, Logan and I go way back when it comes to fighting each other with lightsabers, and Logan would often thwap my fingers.
I love what that word thwap. That's the first and only time I've heard it.
Because we it's a Jedi term, you wouldn't know.
Right.
Because we would lightsaber battle, and if you've ever done that, you've definitely hit or gotten your fingers hit by somebody else.
Unintentionally, usually.
Right. Usually. But yeah, oh my gosh, it's the worst.
It is. It's just like that plastic. It's like, oh, all right.
It's such a buzzkill too.
Like, give me a second.
Because you can't just continue on from that. No. And Ultra Sabers and Saber Forged Sabers, and I think the Galaxy's Edge ones too, are made to actually fight with the blades. These are even worse because they are hard plastic, like just a strip that just, when it thwaps those fingers, oh, it is bad. I felt like I broke my thumb once.
Right.
Because I got hit like right there with a blade.
Just like massive bruise.
I would say it's even worse than a real lightsaber hitting your hand.
I would rather be hit by a real lightsaber. No, we used to always... around at my dad's house, he lived more towards the city, so we'd all in the summers, all the neighborhood kids would be out, and every single one of them would have one of those plastic lightsabers on their belt, just in case. You're walking to your friend's house, you're hanging out, and then you see someone else. It's like, all right, go, we got to throw down.
But it's true with Qui-Gon's, because if you tried to run, it would fall off.
Well, the clip was like that big.
It was like this big, but it was wide, but it was like this big.
And Anakin's was long. Anakin's clip was like that.
Well, that's the question. What's more important, it being wide or it being long?
I think
that's a question we'll answer in the post show.
In the post show.
Specially designed lightsabers could even use unstable crystals, such as Kylo Ren's lightsaber, which featured two laterally facing vents designed to divert excess energy from the cracked crystal and keep the lightsaber stable. But why is Kylo's lightsaber crystal cracked, Logan?
Why is the crystal cracked? Well, Solo used the Kyber crystal from his saber to bleed his hatred for the legacy of his family into it. Renouncing his origins in the distant Darth Sidious and Snoke's approval, his eyes briefly turning yellow and the red crystal cracked in its master's grip with a surge of fiery energy. Afterward, he had to modify his weapon to contain the power of the broken crystal, which produced the red blade with the unstable and fiery appearance. Because even when it's on, his does seem it's always like...
Yes, it's almost like fire is shooting out from it. So if you don't necessarily know what Kyber crystals are, that's what powers the lightsaber, and that's what we're getting into. Kyber crystals, simply known as Kyber, also called a lightsaber crystal, the living crystal, and known in ancient times as a Kyber crystal. They were rare, force-attuned crystals that grew in nature and were found on scattered planets across the galaxy. They were used by the Jedi and the Sith in the construction of their lightsabers. As part of Jedi training, younglings were sent to the crystal cave of the ice planet of Ilum. We talked about Ilum again.
We did.
To mine crystals in order to construct their own lightsabers. The crystal's mix of unique luster was called the water of the Kyber by the Jedi. There were also larger, rarer crystals of great power, and that, according to legends, were used at the heart of ancient superweapons by the Sith.
That's cool. So
Kyber crystal was used in a lot of different things, not even just lightsabers, but the Death Star. If you remember in Rogue One, they were at I forget that planet's name. It starts with a J. To get Kyber.
Right.
And that's what they were there mining for, taking the Kyber, because it was going into the Death Star. But how do people find their crystals?
This is super cool, at least I think. So the Force guided their selection, finding a crystal that matched them as Jedi. To those not meant to receive it, the crystal was cold to the touch, but to those crystals who would hear its music and harmony, becoming attracted to it. Crystals lacked color before they were chosen by a Jedi. Once chosen, most lightsabers became blue or green, though other shades were created in some instances, most notably Mace Windu's purple blade. The yellow blades of the Jedi Temple Guards, the black darksaber, and Ahsoka Tano's white lightsabers, which we just saw.
Those white lightsabers. Also yellow, like Rey's lightsaber that we see at the end of TROS. The resulting crystal and blade color was decided through shifting to match the nature of the bonded owner. It was possible to alter the angle or frequency of Kyber crystals or a lightsaber blade in order to change the color of the latter. This was done by Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker for his former Padawan Ahsoka Tano's lightsabers. Now, you might be thinking he turned them white. No, he turned them blue in her Jedi lightsabers that she left at the end of the Clone Wars series. Then later on, she got new crystals. But how did dark side users get their crystals? That's the question. If they only come out as blue or green, how did they become red?
They pickpocketed them.
Oh, that's a good point.
Those ruffians.
They just pickpocket them. Caught them red crystal.
Yeah. They just bumped into you. Whoop, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Hey, where'd my Kyber crystals go?
My lightsaber is taken apart.
Kyber crystals were inherently attuned to the light side of the Force and resisted any effort by dark side practitioners to use them in lightsabers, with one crystal in particular subjecting Darth Vader to intense visions that almost drove him insane.
Been there,
done that. To this end, a Sith or other Darksider could use a Kyber crystal only by using the Force to dominate the crystal, bending it to their will.
Right. So in the old canon, which is now known as Legends, Sith's crystals were synthetic. They were made in a lab, but they were synthetic crystals. But I kind of like this new canon concept of how crystals turn red. The process caused the crystals to bleed, as it were a living organism, resulting in the distinctive red or crimson bladed lightsabers synonymous with the Sith. It was possible to heal a corrupted Kyber crystal. The only known instance of purifying a corrupted Kyber crystal was when Ahsoka Tano purified 2 crystals she retrieved from the sixth brother's lightsabers following his defeat. In this case, the lightsabers were turned white. So in the book Ahsoka, which I think this is the second week in a row I've been mentioning Ahsoka, the novel, really cool. Definitely check it out. The lightsaber crystals that she was looking for, because she didn't want to just pick up any random ones. She was trying to find her crystals, and crystals were calling to her in order to come and retrieve them and make them her own. But they were calling to her from a place that she traveled and found an Inquisitor. And it was the lightsabers inside the Inquisitor's lightsaber that was calling to Ahsoka for Ahsoka to save them and take them from him.
Right.
So that when she did defeat him, took the lightsaber crystals, she found her crystals hidden in his blade and turned them, took the blood from them, put a Band-Aid on them,
right, yeah,
and turned them white, as we see in the newest episode of The Mandalorian. I think that is so poetic.
Yeah, it's super
and I
cool.
think it drives the story home a bit more, because if we think about Kylo Ren and his lightsaber process, he was this unstable person. He was trying to be a Darksider, however, not necessarily getting there fully.
Right.
And so when he tried to make that process and turn his blue lightsaber crystal red, it cracked under the pressure of him. And that's sort of what he's like. I think they tried to drive that point home symbolically with his helmet in The Rise of Skywalker. His helmet is now cracked. It's put together with this red substance. It's much like his lightsaber crystal. He was being held together just by strings the entire time. Rage. Because he wanted to be something that he wasn't. And thus having the lightsaber crystal be this process that you have to go through, this like ceremony, this ritual almost, if we're talking Sith,
right,
that you have to go through to change something that was once pure into the dark side. I think that has a lot more connection with what we want in Star Wars, which is this more kind of whimsicalness about the Force. Like, how do you feel about the idea that you have a lightsaber crystal somewhere and it's calling to you and you have to find it? And then once you connect with it, it changes to the color that you are.
Well, I think it's perfect for, like you said, with Kylo Ren's, he's unstable. He's, it matches it. And also Ahsoka, she kind of rejected the Jedis, so she's not the Jedi. She's not. I don't. It's not going to be blue. It's not going to be green. It's not going to be a traditional color we've seen from Jedi before. So I think the fact that hers called out to her, being someone else's crystals already, super cool.
Yeah.
The fact that they're red and then she meditates on them and they go white, which is kind of, you know what I mean? Kind of. There's no real side taken,
right,
in between. And that's kind of how she is as a Force user.
So do you like that idea too, in the sense of just like standard Jedi, they have a crystal? It makes me feel a little bit more like Harry Potter. You have a wand.
Exactly.
So do you like that being added into the Star Wars universe as like, you have a crystal somewhere, it's yours?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think it's cool. The only thing I would worry about is like, I think of Anakin, like how many lightsabers he broke and went through. Like, what happens when your one crystal is calling out to you,
right?
And then you have it, and then it gets broken.
He's got
another one.
Find it somewhere else, I guess.
Right. Or even like Cal, which is cool in Jedi Fallen Order. He saves his master's crystal and then is able to use it, and that's why he has that. That staff, the double, and then you're able to disconnect it and use it as two separate, because there's actually two crystals in there. Yeah. That's amazing.
I love that.
That's so cool.
But I'm a big fan of it because it does add more of the magical side to this, because lightsabers are the coolest thing in Star Wars. You can at me on that one. I love lightsabers. They're lightsaber combat, Jedi, Sith, all that, everything in between. I'm such a big fan of lightsabers in general. So they're already cool.
Yeah.
Adding a layer of feeling, adding a layer of individuality, that this is your
connection.
Lightsaber. Exactly. And it drives a little bit of the point home with the color of lightsabers. Now, I think the audio podcast, we recently did an episode on what the colors are.
Right.
So I will just give a quick run through that. green lightsabers, which is what I like more, and my lightsaber's not turning on right now, which is fine. My crystal hates me.
It was just turning on.
Green lightsaber users are known as consulars, and they're a bit more. They like to delegate. They like to put things together in terms of socially. They like to talk things out as opposed to fighting them.
Right.
They are more interested in the will of the Force and finding out the mysteries of the Force and that type of thing. Blue are more action oriented. They're the guardians. They're more there to like, let's fix this, let's defend this, etc., etc. They are very much peacekeepers,
right,
in a different way. They keep the peace with the lightsaber. Consulars like to keep the peace with their words.
Right.
So both are very, very useful. Now, when it comes to yellow, the old way yellow people were yellow lightsaber crystal color people, I should say. They
yellow lightsaber crystal color people.
Yeah, say that 8 times fast. So they were more so technically like involved, like people who are really good with slicing computers, or some of them were politicians. They were more so about using the Force in like normal everyday things instead of one way or the other. But there were a couple subsects of yellow lightsaber users like Jedi Shadow who were very kind of warrior oriented. They were out to stop all traces of the Sith.
Would that be more rogue in a way?
It's kind of like a rogue.
Okay.
Yeah. So the yellow, I don't know where it comes from in canon right now. And I hope we get some more insight into it, because even in Legends, it was a little muddy. But it changing to the color of what you meditate on it for, I think is really, really cool. Because like we even talked about with Anakin changing Ahsoka's Padawan lightsabers to blue. Right. So you can kind of do that. Like you can sit down and meditate and change something a little bit more to your will.
What's the most confrontational color you think there is?
Red.
Okay.
You mean natural color?
Right.
It would be blue.
Okay.
Yeah.
That adds up. That's funny that you always gravitated more towards green and I was more blue.
Yeah, is it because you're confrontational?
I'm so confrontational. No, but I think you're more of a peacekeeper than I am.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. Like I like being able to identify with something like that, some type of feeling, some type of like an Enneagram or what your Myers-Briggs, like some type of personality test that you can take that says you are green, you are blue, you are purple, you are yellow, you are red, sir. This personality test is not, you're kind of a psychopath.
And if you're Sammy J, you just make a call to George Lucas and that's how you get purple.
Yeah.
There's the lore.
Right. Something I want to bring up before we start winding down the show is Beskar being impervious to lightsabers. Something we did with these notes, which we put together on like Wednesday, was we talked about, hey, do you think Beskar can block lightsabers?
Yeah.
And just in our notes, it has, is Beskar lightsaber resistant? Yes.
I love it. Yes, it is.
And if you become a patron, a Commodore, you can get our notes for every show and also get a shout out at the end of every episode. So you can see our big compiling of notes here. But yeah, so I would say when it comes to lightsabers and things that lightsabers are impervious to, or that are impervious to lightsabers, I don't want to get into that list because I don't know if it's still real. I don't still know if it's still like, oh, these things still block lightsabers, because a lot of stuff has changed canon wise.
Yeah.
But as far as we know right now, Beskar is one of the only things that can block lightsabers and do it very well.
Yeah. And the way that they did that too in the show,
mm-hmm.
I loved, like we were talking a bit before about soundscape.
Yes.
We were talking about the soundscape and how I think sound is super important. Obviously, I don't think anyone would disagree with that. In film, in cinema, in shows, anything, sound is super important. And I think they nailed it, obviously with the visual, but when you're fighting with Beskar on lightsaber, I think the way that they did that soundscape was brilliant. You know, it's just kind of like,
yeah. And the way they did it too, with it like bouncing off of the Beskar on Beskar, that like, It sounded like a tuning fork. It sounded like they both vibrated at the same frequency.
Yeah, when he did it off his arm guard thing.
Yeah,
arm guard.
The old arm guard. But so I wonder if we're going to see more of that. There's so many things in this season and in Mandalorian in general that you could see going someplace in the future. I mean, we've talked about Baby Yoda, Grogu.
It's going to be like a catch.
Yeah, Grogu, right? I'm getting it right.
Grogu.
Yeah. We talked about
Christodoulou.
Him. We talked about him, in the future possibly being this main protagonist in something. So a lot of this groundwork that they're laying in here is probably going to go further into the future in Star Wars. So keeping an eye on the details of The Mandalorian will probably help us know what happens in the next movies and so on and so forth. I yesterday on Thanksgiving, was it yesterday? 2 days ago?
Thanksgiving?
2 days ago. I watched all of the Star Wars movies. No, the sequels. Wow. Whoa. I don't even think there's enough time in the day to watch all of them. I watched all the sequels, and that was something that I remembered back as well when it came to The Rise of Skywalker, where Rey heals the snake and then Kylo heals her. The day before, because that came out on a Thursday, and the day before they released an episode of The Mandalorian. They did it early. They knew everyone's going to go see the movie, so let's release this first.
Right.
And in that episode, that's when Baby Yoda first heals, I think, Grief Karga, or even heals the Mandalorian. I forget who he heals first,
right.
But Baby Yoda heals somebody. And then The Rise of Skywalker came out. So already there's this precedent of stuff happening in The Mandalorian, probably causing major things, because that immediately went into one of the main saga films.
Right.
Is, hey, if you watch this yesterday, you get a precursor that this is a thing, and it happened years before Tross even, the world of Tross even happened. So it's an interesting thing to keep an eye on these details, because we might see them on a bigger peak in the future.
It's like we keep saying, they're constantly rewarding the fans for keeping up with all these little details,
right?
Those little Easter eggs, if you will. You know what I mean? They're going to reward you for knowing what that is, and if not, you'll catch up too. It's not like you won't know where anything's at. But.
And speaking of rewarding the fans, the best way we can reward you is you becoming a patron at patreon.com/Chatter Squadron. We have a lot of tiers on there, 3, which is a lot. And you get a lot of cool things that that threw me off. We have a lot of cool benefits when you become a patron, getting episodes early, getting the post show, getting our notes, getting your name even at the $1 amount there, being in our Discord chat where we can just talk to each other anytime, literally any time of the day. You can just say anything to us. And if you become a Commodore, you get a shout out on every single episode. So before we wrap up completely, shout out to you, Commodore Rayside, Commodore Marukim. So you'll get a shout out and have your name on every single episode. So I really urge you guys to go check that out, as well as sharing this video to win the art, because remember,
we're coming up on the end of the month.
This is the end of the month, and we're going to be replacing this art with new art. So share the video of this on Facebook. Go to our Facebook page, find the video, just share it with your friends, share it in your group. The more times you share any of the videos in this past month, the more times you can be entered in to win the art.
And Christmas is coming up. All the holidays are coming up. It's the holiday season. You don't even have to see your family. Just send it to them. Send it to them. And that's where the cheer comes in with the art, right?
The art. But yeah, just send it to them. You don't have to.
Don't say woo.
But
it's also exciting.
But yeah, the holidays are coming up. So even if you don't win this art, you can go check out Acme Archives Direct. Amazing stuff. You get the certificate of authenticity. I always love to pull this sucker out. And by the way, Logan, I did find one more piece of art that in our post show. I'm gonna go grab it. I seriously did. I found it in the papers that they sent it in. I missed grabbing one more, so I'll bring it out and I'll show you.
We had one more of these.
Yep.
Than we did of the art, so we were actually confused and so
I found it, and maybe I'll take a picture of it and put it on our social medias and everything. But thank you guys once again for joining us every single week, helping us be your weekly dose of Star Wars fun and positivity. GetVokl chat, stay around. People in our Patreon, you're going to be able to hear what we think is the best Thanksgiving food.
The best.
And can we say what we're covering next week?
I think we can. I think we can confidently say that we're going to cover the Bounty Hunter video game.
Yes, because we're coming up on the anniversary of that. And we are covering one of the coolest bounty hunters ever every single week when it comes to the Mandalorian.
I'll get back to you on that.
Well, next week you'll know how many years. But that's it for this week. So thank you guys so much. And may the